Something new has just emerged in the death of actress Hayden Panettiere, and investigators are still trying to determine exactly what happened during her final hours. A newly released police report reveals that Hayden's on-and-off boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, and his brother were at the South Carolina apartment when emergency responders arrived. But there's another important detail. Hayden's official cause of death has not yet been determined. So what exactly happened? Who was there? What did police find? And what are investigators still waiting to learn? Here's everything we know so far. Hayden Panettiere died on Sunday, August 16th, at just 36 years old. According to authorities, emergency responders were called to an apartment complex in Greenville, South Carolina, at around 1:51 in the afternoon. The call involved a report of cardiac arrest. When emergency personnel arrived, Hayden was found unresponsive. Paramedics immediately began life-saving efforts, including CPR and advanced cardiac life support. But sadly, those efforts were unsuccessful. Hayden was pronounced dead at approximately 2:31 in the afternoon. An autopsy was later completed, and authorities say there were no signs of trauma. Police have also said there are currently no indications of foul play, but that doesn't mean investigators know exactly what caused her death. They don't, at least not yet. Now here's where the latest information becomes especially important. A police report released this week provides new details about what happened when officers arrived at the apartment. According to that report, Brian Hickerson and his brother Zach were inside the apartment when police arrived. The responding officer encountered the brothers before seeing emergency medical personnel performing CPR on Hayden. The report describes Zach as visibly emotional while paramedics were attempting to save Hayden. Brian also became emotional, but according to the report, this happened after EMS declared Hayden dead. Police eventually escorted both brothers out of the apartment, and there's another detail that has gotten attention. The report says Brian showed police a bag containing medication that Hayden had been taking. However, the specific medications were not identified in the publicly available report, and that's important because we still don't know what role, if any, those medications played in Hayden's death. This is where we have to be extremely careful. There have been reports mentioning a possible overdose and cardiac arrest, but a report of a possible overdose is not the same thing as an official cause of death. Hayden's autopsy did not reveal trauma that would explain her death, and investigators are still waiting for toxicology results. Those results could provide important information about what was happening inside her body before she died. Until those results are released, Hayden's official cause and manner of death remain undetermined. So despite everything being reported online, there is still a major unanswered question. What actually caused Hayden Panettiere's death? We don't know yet. Another major part of this story is Brian Hickerson. Hayden and Brian had an on and off relationship that began in 2018. Their relationship was highly publicized, partly because Hayden had previously described the relationship as abusive. Hickerson later pleaded no contest to felony charges involving injury to a partner. He served jail time and was placed under court-ordered conditions. And just days before Hayden's death, a judge reportedly rejected Hickerson's request to reduce his previous felony convictions to misdemeanors. That timing has naturally caused people online to ask questions, but there's an important distinction. Brian being present when Hayden died does not prove that he caused her death. Authorities have not accused him of causing Hayden's death, and police have said they have found no evidence of foul play. So for now, his presence is part of the story, but it is not proof of wrongdoing. Hayden's mother, Leslie Vogel, has now spoken publicly about her daughter's death. In an interview with NBC News, Vogel remembered Hayden as an incredibly talented person. She also spoke about the difficulties Hayden experienced while growing up in the entertainment industry, and she addressed Brian Hickerson being present when Hayden died. Vogel said her family had been concerned about him for a long time. Her comments are especially emotional because Hayden had previously written about her complicated relationship with her mother in her 2026 memoir. This is me, a reckoning. And Hayden's family has already experienced another devastating loss. Her younger brother Jansen died in 2023 at just 28 years old. Her mother has said she believes Hayden is now at peace with her brother. For years, Hayden was remarkably open about the struggles she faced away from the cameras. She became famous as a child, then became a major star through shows like Heroes in Nashville. But behind the success, Hayden dealt publicly with addiction, postpartum depression, and other personal struggles. She entered rehabilitation while working on Nashville, and later she opened up about many of those experiences. That's one reason her death has been especially difficult for fans. Hayden had been talking about her life, her struggles, and her plans for the future. She was also beginning another chapter in her career, a comeback, and now that story has ended far too soon. Hayden leaves behind her 11-year-old daughter, Kaya. Kaya's father is former professional boxer Vladimir Klitschko. Following Hayden's death, Klitschko also spoke publicly about her. He emphasized Hayden's talent and the impact she had on their family. He also said he wants to make sure their daughter remembers her mother. And that's perhaps one of the most heartbreaking parts of this entire story. Behind all the headlines, behind the police reports, behind the celebrity news, there is a family grieving the loss of a daughter, a sister, a mother, and a loved one. And now there's another development. Hayden Panettiere's remains have reportedly been released from the South Carolina coroner's office. They were transferred to a mortuary selected by her family. The coroner's office has not publicly identified that mortuary, but investigators are still waiting for additional testing. And those toxicology results could finally provide answers about what happened. Until then, there are still unanswered questions. So here's what we know right now. Hayden Panettiere died at 36 years old after being found unresponsive at a South Carolina apartment. Brian Hickerson and his brother were there when police arrived. An autopsy found no signs of trauma. Authorities have said there are no indications of foul play, and Hayden's official cause of death remains undetermined while investigators wait for toxicology results. So despite everything you may have seen online, there are still things we simply don't know. And until investigators release the final results, we shouldn't treat speculation as fact. Hayden Panettiere's story was filled with incredible success, but also very public struggles. And ultimately, she was a person before she was a celebrity. She was a daughter, a sister, a mother, and someone who meant a lot to millions of people around the world. If you want more celebrity news, developing stories, and the details behind the headlines, subscribe to Drama Toleration and let me know in the comments. What do you think about the latest developments in Hayden Panettiere's death?